What if the ghosts of England's bloody past never really left? In the quiet corners of this ancient land, in its castles, its inns, and unforgotten homes, I have found places where history isn't just remembered, but it's supposedly relived, night after night. These are the spots where the veil between our world and the next is frighteningly thin, where visitors have come face to face with chilling apparitions, and where the dead are said to still walk amongst the living. The tales I'm about to share are some of, shall we say, the most enduring ghost stories of the country, and for many who've experienced them, they're terrifyingly real. Now today I'm counting down the top 5 most haunted places I've found in England, and if you're a fan of the strange and the supernatural, make sure to subscribe, because I have a lot more darkness to explore with you. Now this is sort of like a new sort of type of episode that I'm trialing, so top 5 haunted places, so it can cover more around the world rather than just little specific episodes here and there. So this week it's top 5 haunted places in England, next week it's Wales, week after that's Northern Ireland, and we're going to finish with a good one, which would be top 5 haunted places in Scotland. So yeah, just trying something new. Also, when this episode should come out, it will be Parameet weekend, so those of you who don't know about that, it's a sort of paranormal convention in sort of central England in the Midlands, and I'm here by myself to meet other people, other YouTubers, here to meet Claire, her husband, hopefully some other people who I met a few months ago as well from different groups and different places. So yes, that's why I'm in a hotel setting. Also, if that means I'm being a bit quieter than usual, that's literally because I'm trying to be respectful to people around me, and I keep hearing people walk down. I don't want to be like, what a dickhead, but you know, yeah, I'm still recording for you, and yeah, hope you really enjoy this sort of content, because there's going to be more coming your way. If you do enjoy this sort of thing, then please, like I already said, like, follow, comment, subscribe, share. Also, there's something new called hyping. I've not really looked into it yet on YouTube, so if you know how to do it and you like my video, hype me down below. And yeah, with all that said, let's chit chat in this episode, more ghost stories, and that's what you're here for. So yeah, let me guide you into the shadows, shall we say, and more specifically to the southwest of England for number 5. Now, coming in at number 5 is the beautiful but deceptive ruin of Bury Pomeroy Castle in Devon. Now, it's surrounded by a deep wooded valley, and I'll put some pictures up. Its pitch perfect setting hides a history of alleged tragedy and malevolence. Built in the late 15th century by the Pomeroy family, the castle is now famous for 2 tormented female spirits, the White Lady and the Blue Lady. Now, along with these 2, people have also reported seeing the ghost of guards, a small child, and 2 brothers who are said to have leaped from the ramparts on horseback. Why would you do that? I don't know. But apparently they did. Now, there's always a white lady as well. A white lady or a grey lady. There's always one of them. But in this case, the White Lady is believed to be the soul of Margaret Pomeroy. And as the story goes, her own sister Eleanor was consumed with jealousy over her beauty and the attention she received from men. In a cruel act of sibling rivalry, Eleanor allegedly imprisoned Margaret in the castle's dungeon, leaving her to starve. Today, her spirit is said to haunt the dark dungeons of St. Margaret's Tower, where her presence is reportedly accompanied by the feeling of intense sadness and dread. Visitors to the modern day report seeing a misty white figure, sometimes waving from the tower, while others feel an overwhelming sense of cold as her unseen presence brushes past them on dimly lit stairs. The staircase is supposed to be reputedly one of the most haunted places there. But perhaps more terrifying is the Blue Lady. The legend says she was the daughter of a Norman lord who, after a horrific act of violence against her own father, murdered her infant child. Now her ghost reportedly wanders the castle grounds, a sorrowful figure in a blue cloak who tries to lure unsuspecting visitors, and especially men, towards the most dangerous parts of the ruins. Those who claim to have encountered her speak of a sudden, oppressive atmosphere and a powerful feeling of being hated for some reason. They say if you follow her, you risk being pushed from the ramparts to your death. Her appearance is considered such a bad omen that a doctor who saw her in the 19th century was convinced she was a portent of death for his patient, the steward's wife, who died that very night. Now, for my fourth location, I'm travelling north to Northumberland. It's in the name really, isn't it? And to a fortress with a name that promises a scare. It's called Chillingham Castle. Often called one of England's most haunted castles, it has a history steeped in warfare and unimaginable cruelty, serving as a strategic stronghold during England's bloody border wars with Scotland. Chillingham's dark reputation is cemented in its infamous torture chamber. Castle lore speaks of a man named John Sage. He was said to be a sadistic torturer who supposedly took pleasure in his victims' suffering, and he was nicknamed Dragfoot due to a leg injury. He was said to have tortured over 1,000 Scots. His malevolent spirit is said to still linger in the chamber, a place where many visitors still feel an oppressive and heavy atmosphere. But he's far from the only ghost there. One of the castle's most famous spirits was the Blue Boy. If it's not a boy, it's a lady, Jesus. Also known as the Radiant Boy for years. Now, guests in the Pink Room reported hearing a child's agonising cry in the middle of the night, often sort of accompanied by a shimmering blue light. The hauntings were so persistent that during renovations in the 1900s, the story goes that workers investigated the walls. There, hidden in thick stone, they found the bones of a young boy surrounded by fragments of blue cloth. Some tales claim his fingernails were worn down as if he tried to scratch his way out. Though the bones were given a proper burial and the cries ceased, some visitors to that room still report seeing strange floating blue orbs of light. And then, of course, we need a grey lady. We need a coloured lady of some perspective, some sort, I should say. And this castle's grey lady is thought to be that of Lady Mary Berkeley. Now, legend says she was abandoned by her husband for her own sister and died of a broken heart. Now, apparently, she fated to wander through the castle corridors in her rusting silk dress, forever waiting for a man who will never return. Now, visitors often report hearing the soft rustle of her gown or feeling a sudden, inexplicable drop in temperature as her lonely spirit passes by. Now, no list of England's haunted locations could be complete without my number 3 spot, and I've actually spoken about this a lot in previous YouTube videos and podcast episodes when this used to be a podcast, and that of course is the Tower of London. And yeah, I remember going here years ago on one of my trips to London before I lived there, and I'll try and find some photos because it was a really cool day out. It's a proper touristy thing to do, but fuck it, Now, for over 900 years, this fortress had served as a royal palace, a prison, and a place of execution. And if you believe in stone tape theory, it seems that its stone walls have soaked up centuries of pain and despair, and it seems some of its most famous residents never left. The most persistent of all the tower's ghosts, and you all probably know this if you studied in the UK, is the ghost of Queen Anne Boleyn, who was the second wife of King Henry VIII. Now, she had been accused of treason and she was beheaded on Tower Green in 1536. And Tower Green is like a little section, a little square bit of green in the middle of, within the tower ground itself. Now, that happened in 1536, and her apparition is one of the most frequently cited. She has reportedly been seen leading a ghostly procession in the Chapel Royal of St. Peter, where she is buried, and most terrifyingly, walking the grounds carrying her own head. I mean, imagine fucking seeing that. You would shit yourself, wouldn't you? And now all I can think of is that song from Horrible Histories, the Survived, Beheaded and Died one. It's really good. I'll try and remember to link it below so you can click on it. It's great. But yeah, that's Anne Boleyn, that's what I think. You would just be terrified if you've seen her carrying her own head, or anybody carrying their own head, to be fair. The story goes that one 19th century guard supposedly fainted after challenging her headless form with his bayonet, which passed straight through her. Other guards came forward to support this story, claiming they too had seen the apparition of Anne Boleyn. For she isn't alone. The anguished screams of Guy Fawkes, who was brutally tortured here for his role in the gunpowder plot, are still said to echo through the tower. And another reported spirit is that of Margaret Pole, the Countess of Salisbury. Her execution in 1541 was notoriously botched, as an elderly woman of 67 who refused to lay her head on the block, declaring she was no traitor. She was chased by an inexperienced axeman and who had hacked her to death, taking multiple blows. Her ghost is said to reenact this horrifying event for terrified onlookers. Perhaps most tragically, the spirits of two young boys, Prince Edward V and his brother Richard, are also said to haunt the Bloody Tower, as it's named. Imprisoned by their uncle, who wanted to the throne for himself, the two princes vanished in 1483, presumed murdered. Their small, ghostly figures, dressed in white nightgowns and clutching each other in terror, have reportedly been seen standing hand in hand, drifting between rooms before melting into the walls, lost for all eternity. Now, this is a really strange story because a few years ago, I believe they found their skeletons. I need to try and look that up. I'm sure they found their two skeletons, but this is what I love about England, right? It's so Game of Thronesy. Like, the two boys, the two nephews were next in line for the throne, so the uncle kills them and makes them disappear. It's very Lion King, isn't it? It's like Scar and Simba and all that, you know? That's what I love about this country, you know? So sue me. But yeah, if you're enjoying this type of content, please, again, quickly, just if you can, subscribe, like, follow, share, hype me up, please. It really helped me in growing the channel and growing our community. And yeah, you should do it now before we get to number 2, and especially before we get to number 1. I'm not going to say anything else. But yeah, like I said, I am about to take you to the top 2 most haunted places in England, where the paranormal activity is said to be even more intense. Before I do, which of these places would you be brave enough to visit? Let me know in the comments below. And like I say, I went to the Tower of London, and it was really good. And there was a time actually when I was in some sort of gallery by myself. It was quite creepy, and it was the middle of the day, I have to say. So if you have the chance to go there, definitely do. I'd love for them to do something at Halloween or do some sort of ghost hunt, because I would be first in line for tickets. But yeah, on to number 2. Now, my number 2 spot belongs to a place that no longer exists, yet its terrifying reputation endures, and that is Borley Rectory in Essex. And this was once a grand Victorian mansion that earned the more sinister title, the most haunted house in England. I feel like every haunted house says that, but you know, you get the drift. The building burned to the ground in 1939. There was a fire at the rectory and on the grounds in 1939, and due to that, just 5 years later, it was levelled to the ground. But the spectral energy it was famous for seems to have seeped into the very land it once stood on. The haunting is said to have begun with a 14th century legend. The legend of a monk from a local monastery who fell in love with a nun from a nearby convent. It's like, you know, an old-fashioned Romeo and Juliet. They planned to elope, but their forbidden love was discovered. The story says the monk was executed and the nun was bricked up alive within her convent's walls. For centuries after, her sorrowful apparition, known simply as the ghostly nun, was reportedly seen gliding along a path on the property that became known as the Nun's Walk. Now, in the 1920s and 1930s, the hauntings became so intense they attracted paranormal investigator Harry Price, picture here or there. Residents of the rectory were tormented by a cascade of supernatural events. Servant bells rang violently despite being disconnected, phantom footsteps echoed in empty hallways, and mysterious lights appeared in windows. While some have since questioned his methods, Price and his team meticulously documented poltergeist activity, including small objects being thrown and strange messages scrawled on the walls asking for help. Even after the rectory was destroyed by a fire, in which some witnesses claimed to see a ghostly nun in a window, the paranormal activity didn't stop. People claim it simply moved. Fast forward to today, and ghostly occurrences are frequently reported in the old Borley Rectory grounds and its graveyard. People have witnessed strange lights swinging and felt an unseen presence among the tombstones, leading many to believe that even when the house is gone, the ghosts remain. And now, the grand reveal, if you like. My number one most haunted place in England. It's not a grand castle or a royal prison, but a humble, crooked former pub in Watton-under-Edge, Gloucestershire. Welcome to the Ancient Ram Inn, a building widely considered to be one of the most haunted in the entire country. So, what makes this place so terrifying, I hear you say? I believe that the story begins with its foundations. So the inn was built in 1145. It's said to stand on the intersection between two ley lines, which some believe are sort of channels for energy, spiritual energy. And this ley line, if it exists, does actually connect to other places in England, such as Stonehenge, which again is supposed to be a really spiritual place. Now, even more disturbingly, it's claimed the inn was built directly on top of a 5,000-year-old pagan burial ground, where evidence of ritual sacrifice was allegedly uncovered. If the legends are true, this building was a supernatural hotspot from its very beginnings. Over its long and dark history, the inn has been the alleged site of black magic rituals and even murder. Its walls are supposedly saturated with centuries of fear, and the spirits here are not said to be that peaceful. Visitors and paranormal investigators alike report a dizzying array of phenomena. The disembodied screams of a murdered man, the haunted cries of babies, and objects being thrown by unseen forces are all considered commonplace in this place. In this inn, I should say. The most feared location within the inn is a small room on the first floor known as the Bishop's Room. The atmosphere inside is described as oppressive and evil. It's said to be haunted by several spirits, but its most infamous residents are believed to be a succubus and an incubus. Now, growing up as an emo kid, the only thing I knew about incubus was that they were a band. I had no idea it was a potential demon. But yeah, apparently the Ancient Ram Inn has a succubus and an incubus. Now, these are demonic entities that allegedly assault visitors in their sleep in a sexual way, if you know what I mean. Succubus, I think, is the female version, and incubus is the male version. But yeah, people who have dead spend the night in this room have reported being violently thrown from bed or pinned down by an unseen force. I'm like, oh, a bit hot under the collar, to be honest, with that. No, my luck, I get the succubus though, not the incubus, so, there is that. A medium was even apparently said to have been lifted and thrown across the corridor after opening the door. Now, one of the inn's most famous legends tells of a woman in the 1500s who, accused of being a witch, took refuge in one of the rooms before she was caught and killed, and her terrified spirit is still said to haunt the building. Another soul, perhaps, supposedly trapped within the malevolent confines of the Ancient Ram in. Whew, now, we're at the end of the journey already. From the tragic ladies of Berry Pomeroy to the alleged demonic forces of the ancient Ram Inn, like we've discovered, England's most haunted places are a chilling reminder that the past is never truly gone. It just lingers in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to make its presence known. These 5 locations I've shown you stand as monuments to history, tragedy, and the sort of terrifying possibility that we're not quite alone. These are the places, like I said in the intro, where the veil feels at its thinnest, and where a visit must just bring you face to face, might just bring you, I should say, face to face with a ghost. What do you think? Are these just stories passed down through generations, or are there truly places in the world where the dead refuse to rest? Let me know your thoughts, like I say, in the comments below, and until next time, be careful what doors you open in the dark, because you never know who or what might be waiting on the other side. And yeah, like I say, I've been to the Tower of London, all in all. Ancient Ram Inn is on my list, but apparently it's getting hella expensive now to do an investigation there. Might have to see if I've got some friends I can chip in with. And yeah, Chillingham Castle, it's a bit far away for me to visit because it's right on the Scottish border, but maybe I will someday. Thank you all for watching, all 5 of you who are currently watching my videos. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this new type of video. Either next week or the week after, it will be top 5 haunted places in Wales. I just need to do a little bit more research there. Now, until next time, remember, the island is always watching. Bye.